Chapter 24. As I was heading out of the hotel, Muffin barreled toward me with shopping bags hanging from her arms and mouse ears propped on her head. "Did you have fun at Disneyland?" I asked.
That mouse sure knows how to have fun. You should have come. It would have perked you up. You've been a bear these last 2 days,
she said, jostling past me.
I have to get upstairs and sort these bags.
"I'm heading to the beach," I said to her as she raced into the hotel. The sun was about to set, and the beach seemed like the only peaceful place to be. It had been 2 days with no word from the Miller boys. Maya and Mrs. Miller waited at Ian's house. Frankie was busy taking Hollywood by storm, and I made my home on the beach. I sat down and dug my feet into the sand, watching as the sun melted into the ocean. My pocket jostled, sending me scurrying to my feet. I looked around to see if a crab had picked a fight with my shorts. It was only when my pocket vibrated again that I realized it was my phone. It works. I pulled it out and stared in wonder. It finally works. I quickly answered the call.
"Hi, kitten,"
Caleb said.
"I've been trying to reach you. How's your vacation?"
I laughed. It was the worst vacation ever, but hearing his voice brightened my somber mood tenfold. "My phone took a swim. I haven't been able to use it until now."
"The hazards of a beach vacation. I've lost several phones that way."
I didn't correct him or fill him in on the details. It was wonderful just to hear his warm, smiling voice. "What have you been up to?" I asked, switching the subject.
"Just keeping the table warm and dodging Jessica. I don't recommend it."
"Why is she chasing you this time?"
"There was a photo shoot last night for a new website I'm promoting. I refused to use the model she hired."
That must have set her off. What was wrong with the model?
"Nothing. She was very pretty."
"Then why didn't you stand in the photo with her?" He paused, and then said hesitantly,
"She's not you, kitten."
"It's been 3 days, and no word from anyone," I said, taking a gulp of my martini. "I'm not sure how much longer I can last without a sliver of news."
They're probably on their way home right now. Have you heard from Maya?
Frankie asked. "She's been calling every few hours now that my phone works, except her last call was a while ago. Maybe she's having dinner with Mrs. Miller."
Or maybe the Miller boys are back and they're having a reunion while you're stewing.
Are you two still drinking?
Muffin plodded over.
We're on vacation. Of course we're drinking.
Frankie said.
Actually, I haven't touched a drop since G-Day. I've been too busy shopping. We should go to my room. I'll show you all my purchases.
"No thanks," Muffin and I said in unison. He tisked.
Maya would have.
"What's G-Day?" I asked.
The day we took down Grayson. That's a day that will be immortalized as G-Day.
I drank the last sip of martini and stood. "I'm heading to the beach. The sun is about to set."
You've watched the sunset every night. Let's dress up and go clubbing.
Frankie pleaded.
I need a wingman, and you're the closest thing I've got. We'll just spruce you up a bit. Maybe brush your hair for starters.
"It's the ocean breeze," I said, attempting to rake my fingers through the snarls. "I can't seem to keep it from getting tangled."
Come to my room. I have a great hair product that will work wonders.
Frankie said.
What about me?
Muffin asked.
I'm a great wingman. If you want a man, I can get you one.
Without threatening bodily harm and dragging him like a caveman?
Frankie asked with an arched brow.
That only works during roleplay.
She waved him off.
I only act tough so men know I wear the pants in the family. I don't want them thinking I'm a submissive wife.
We both stared at her. Frankie cleared his throat.
I choose Nadia to be my wingman. It'll help boost her confidence.
Are there any of your fancy pants men here?
Muffin asked.
Nope. None.
He's had his eye on that guy over there at the bar, I said, smiling at Frankie's open-jawed scowl.
The one with the leopard print pants?
She arched her brow and cracked her knuckles.
We'll have to work on your taste in men later. This one will bleed you dry with expenses for clothing and hair gel.
We watched as she maneuvered over to the man. His eyes widened when he realized he was her target. She leaned over to talk to him. He flinched at first, but then began listening intently. Did he just smile? I asked.
Just look at those beautiful teeth.
Frankie sighed, but Muffin made him smile. She's probably giving him the same line she gives all her victims.
Do you think so?
Frankie perked. That's not a good thing.
Oh my God. They're walking over here. How do I look?
He patted his hair, checked his breath, and smoothed his Hawaiian shirt. You look. I never finished. Frankie jumped from the table, jostling the glasses, and lunged for the man's hand to shake it.
I'm Frankie. You must be Brad Pitt.
Frankie shamelessly flirted. The man beamed as Frankie offered to buy him a drink. Before they headed to the bar, Frankie said,
Nadia, go watch your sunset. Your services are no longer required. Muffin's on deck.
What lie did you tell Brad? I asked Muffin when they left.
He doesn't look anything like Brad Pitt.
Muffin stated.
If there are any lies, it's that one.
Muffin, I warned.
I just told him that Frankie has a successful business.
And he's inheriting money from a dead grandfather. I filled in the missing piece.
No, that's my thing.
Then what did you tell him?
I might have said that he only has a few weeks to live and has no one to inherit the business. The idiot bought it.
I shook my head. I'm heading to the beach. Have fun being the wingman.
I can be your wingman too,
She said.
There's a man in the lobby that keeps looking at you.
I scanned the lobby. Ian! He smiled as I bolted from the table and raced over to hug him. Ian, is it really you? I asked, inspecting him for mishandling. He chuckled.
Yes, of course it is. I'm fine.
I was so worried. Is everyone safe?
Everyone is fine. Just a few scrapes, but nothing a Band-Aid won't cure.
What are you doing here?
I dropped off Grayson and then spotted you.
Do you have a few minutes? I was going to watch the sunset on the beach.
That sounds wonderful. Let's grab a bottle of wine.
He said, flagging down the concierge.
We'll bill it to Grayson.
My smile slipped. Poor Grayson was going to receive lawyer bills and bar tabs after he just forked out $15 million. Will you tell me what happened? I asked as we headed to the beach with a bottle of the hotel's finest wine.
I was caught in the beginning of an uprising. I had a feeling it was about to happen, but I had a few things to do before I could leave Africa. Luckily, I'd had the sense to hide the necklace.
We settled into the sand and each took a swig of wine from the bottle. Those postcards were complete crap. Next time, send easier clues.
How hard is A is for alligator?
Quite hard. He chuckled.
Well, you saved the day.
No, Grayson did. How is he? Ian smirked.
Still have a soft spot for him?
I shrugged.
He's fine. Just a few bruises. Unfortunately, the internet can be a useful tool for terrorists. Once they discovered who he was, they demanded more money for our release. By that time, David and I were brought to a different building for holding while the transfer was made. It was less secure, and we were able to escape without too much bloodshed.
Whose blood? I questioned.
David's. He was shot in the leg as we escaped.
Is he okay?
As soon as we were out of the country, we stopped for medical attention. He's fine, but you'd think he lost a limb the way Mom and Maya are flustering over him.
I smiled at the image. I'm sure he likes the attention.
For now, I escaped before they could quarantine me to my bedroom.
Smart move.
Speaking of moving, my study has been reorganized. Do you know anything about that?
We tore the study apart looking for the necklace.
But you did find a necklace in the study, didn't you?
It was more of a statement than a question. I felt a flush rushing through my neck and face. Yes.
Why didn't you take it?
You didn't finish the card, and I don't need divorce diamonds. We were hardly married.
Don't think of them as divorce diamonds. I want you to have them, and not because I feel guilty about marrying you under Grayson's nose. I would do it again in a heartbeat. I truly want you to have them.
And the unfinished card?
I said everything that needed to be said to Grayson on the flight back.
He glanced at me.
You know nothing happened between us that night, right?
I had my suspicions, but I wasn't sure.
You can rest assured. Nothing happened between us. I never take advantage of women who pass out in my bed, especially my own wife.
He smirked. Good to know. I'm sure that will make your real wife feel better.
You're my real wife. Well, at least for a few more days. If you care to fool around during that time, I wouldn't say no.
He laughed when I playfully elbowed him in the ribs. I meant Gwen, I said, eyeing him for a reaction. I still didn't know what to think of Gwen.
Gwen?
Yes, Gwen Miller. Your wife. Ian paused.
Gwen was here?
Maybe she really is Ian's wife, I thought. She introduced herself as your wife and helped look for the necklace, I said. Are you okay? You have an odd expression.
My wife?
Ian coughed.
No, she's not my wife, and she's a thief.
A thief? As in stealing your heart, right?
A jewel thief, to be precise.
She took the necklace from us right before the Sierra Leone thugs showed up. Thank heavens she didn't leave with it. I had a feeling I couldn't trust her, but she didn't do anything to warrant the mistrust. Ian paused again.
How long was the necklace in her possession before the Sierra Leone men showed up?
Not too long, maybe 10 or 15 minutes. His head fell back with a dry laugh. At my confused expression, he finally explained,
She stole the diamonds.
But I saw the men take the necklace.
I guarantee she'd already switched the diamonds.
But how?
It's one of her many skills. She only goes after expensive pieces that she can replicate. Most victims don't know they've been stolen from until the piece is appraised for insurance or sale. It's not the first time she's stolen from me. I have a feeling it won't be the last.
How do you know her?
She visited my diamond mine one day.
He shook his head as he remembered.
A beautiful blonde out in the middle of nowhere. She looked as if she owned the land she was trespassing on. I hate to admit it, but I was too enthralled to question. She stayed for dinner and disappeared the next day with a pocket full of rare diamonds.
Back up the train. You have a diamond mine?
I've owned it for a few years. It's a small mine that doesn't yield many diamonds. However, what we do find is extremely rare.
How many people work for you?
I hired one family. There are 22 of them, and they take care of almost everything, including my estate and land. Even the grandma has her job of scolding me and then feeding me.
Why does she scold you?
I couldn't tell you since she speaks an old dialect, which for the life of me I can't understand. I just smile and eat, and then she gives me a pat on the head and scoots me out the door. God, I love her.
He said with a fond smile. So the necklace was yours?
It was commissioned.
He explained.
I started hearing rumors of an uprising. When the courier didn't pick up the necklace, I knew someone else would be knocking down my door. We shut down the mine, and the family crossed the border. I flew home with the necklace for safekeeping.
Will the family return?
Of course. We have a good working relationship and depend on each other. They'll be back in a month or two.
Why did they have to leave? Is it dangerous?
We don't want our diamonds to become blood diamonds. Government takeover requires money. The easiest access to funding weapons is with diamonds. It's safer to shut down and leave.
Did the rebels get the 15 million? I asked, feeling sick at the thought of bloodshed. He smiled.
We escaped before the exchange.
So the government has a fake necklace and the rebels don't have ransom money, I thought out loud. It's perfect. But will they come back for the necklace or you? He shrugged.
I'll lie low and see what happens. But I'm sure they've already found their next victim.
That wasn't too comforting, but at least neither party had the necklace or the cash, and the Millers were back home.
The sunset is beautiful,
He commented.
For a few days I feared I might never see one again.
I'm glad you're home to see it, I said with a smile. Ian glanced toward the hotel. As he looked back at the sunset, I noticed a glimmer in his eye. Perhaps it was just the sun's reflection. That's what I thought until he leaned over and whispered into my ear.
Do you want to see how much he likes you?
I turned toward him in confusion. Who? Was all I could say before Ian planted a kiss on my lips. It was firm, but brief and unaffected. He pulled away with a wink, right before he hopped up and ran across the beach. I was left sitting in the sand in utter confusion until I saw Grayson storm by, chasing after Ian. I watched as they raced down the beach. The waves and breeze swallowed their hollers.
Would you look at those two idiots?
Frankie said, not knowing he was referring to Grayson and Ian. He plopped down next to me and grabbed the bottle. What happened to Leopard Pants?
I found out what Muffin told him. She's no longer my wingman.
Do you need me to fill in? His eyes brightened.
Really?
I eyed the two idiots who fell into the water as they wrestled. Yep. Nothing to see here.